made it to April. It is now draft month, which means the obvious thing, another mock draft. This is going to be my third mock draft. We're going to do a full first round for all teams, including trades. We're going to get real creative. With that being said, let's get started. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock. I think with everything that they've invested in the offseason, as far as offensive linemen, they didn't re-sign Mason Rudolph. I think the picture's clear, and they're having private workouts for him. They're going to go quarterback. They're going to go with the best quarterback in this class, and that's Cam Ward. I think this shouldn't take them long, but much like the Chicago Bears, they may milk the clock a little bit just to give you a little bit of suspense. But I believe Cam Ward will be the number one overall quarterback and player in this year's 2025 draft. Now you get into a situation that the Cleveland Browns are in. They're in cap hell. They're dealing with Deshaun Watson's contract. The owners come out and said it was a mistake. It flopped. It didn't work out. So do they go and reach on a quarterback here at number 2? In my opinion, no, they don't. They go with who they think is the best player available. That's between Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. Now, if you ask me who I think the best player available is, it's obviously Travis Hunter, someone that I think is going to play both ways in the NFL, but just re-signed Myles Garrett to a record-breaking contract. I think they're going to pair him up with Abdul Carter. I don't think there's any type of trade here within the top 3, and I think the Browns make some noise at quarterback later on in the draft, maybe in the first round, but probably in day 2. Now, another team that is looking to fix their situation. A lot of people would say that the Giants aren't going to draft a quarterback here. I would pump the brakes here. Yes, they signed Russell Wilson. Yes, they signed Jameis Winston. All signs point that, Russell may be day 1 starter. Jameis is a solid backup that could fill in if Russ gets hurt, doesn't play well. But I think the pressure is there for Brian Daboll and Joe Shane. Do I think they take quarterback at number 3? Initially, I did think that this would happen, but I think the tides change. Giants do make some noise later in the first round, but they go best player available, and that's Travis Hunter. Talent you just really can't pass up. You get to the New England Patriots. Now, this is a team, Patriot fans, you should be thankful that they took a quarterback last year. Now the question is, do you add to his receiving core, which a lot of people want to, but the offensive line was atrocious. I think the wide receiver talent doesn't drop off a whole lot in the later rounds, so I think you could go with the top offensive lineman here. The decision comes to, is it Armand Membu or is it Will Campbell? I think this is where a lot of people get shocked. I think they go with my top offensive tackle, and a lot of people have him as the top offensive tackle, and that's Armand Membu, the Jaguars. The Jaguars offensively, I think, are going to be okay. Liam Cohen, great offensive mind. I think their main focus is going to be the defensive side of the ball. That's sure. Last year, they invested heavily in the defensive side, but I think they do that even more. And a guy that I think they will allow to start day 1, Mason Graham, is the pick. They could go corner as well. They need some secondary help, but I think the defensive line, pairing him up with Josh Allen Hines and Trayvon Walker in the middle, it's going to be a great pass rushing unit, and he's an underrated run defense. Now, this is where we start getting a little fun, because the Raiders literally can go any which way direction. I don't think they go offensive line, because I actually like their offensive line. I think they're pretty solid there. So do you add weapons for Geno Smith? You go defensively, because the defensive side of the ball, especially in the secondary, needs improvement. I could see someone like Jahdae Barron, Malachi Starks, Bill Johnson. Those could be the selections. But I want you to look at who the offensive coordinator is, and that's Chip Kelly, who relies heavily on the running game. And Geno Smith is probably going to have the most support he's had since leaving Seattle, and arriving in Las Vegas. Brock Bowers, elite talent, broke onto the scene. I think everyone expected that. A very controversial pick last year, but it was the right one for the Raiders. I don't think they really second guess this. Ashton Genty is the pick, and he will electrify the Las Vegas Raiders offense. The Jets are another team that could surprise a lot of people based off where they go. Aaron Glenn is a very defensive-minded head coach, but he has seen it with Dan Campbell. He's seen it with other coaches. He doesn't want to solely focus on the defensive side of the ball. He wants to run the team. Investing in Justin Fields. A lot of people are like, oh, they're going to go quarterback. No, This would be a huge reach for the Jets if they went quarterback here. It's either going to be offensive line or some sort of defensive back because you lost DJ Reed. Their safeties aren't great. They need to improve there. To me, I think the Eagles kind of laid everything out. Need to invest in the trenches. And the trenches for the Jets have been a problem year in and year out. Drafted Olu Fashanu last year. Center's pretty good. Have some solid guards. Why not take another centerpiece, a core piece, a young piece on the offensive line, move Olu Fashanu back to the right side, and you take your future left tackle in Will Campbell. I know a lot of people like to make the argument, he's got short arms. There are plenty of offensive tackles. Rashawn Slater, Matthews, they have shorter arms, but they anchor their side, and it's no problem for them. The Panthers. Panthers are on the right trajectory. I think they're going to be competitive this year. Dave Canales really has the offensive line. He's instilled some confidence in Bryce Young. They do need another receiver. They like to say that Xavier Legette's going to be their wide receiver one, but I hated the pick last year that they took in the first round for Legette. I don't think it's going to pay off. However, their defensive side of the bad. I know they signed a lot of free agents for the defensive side, but you still want an anchor piece, a core piece, a young piece here. Okay? Position that I think they'll go, and I don't know why PFF has them ranked so low, but they're going to look for an off-ball linebacker that can also think Frankie Louvu, Panther fans. What was he good at? He was a great run defender, could blitz the quarterback very well, very seldom dropped into coverage, but he would at times. That's why I think Jalen Walker is going to be the pick. Now you have youth at the linebacker spot. He doesn't have to step in day one. He can sit back there and develop and become the starter next year. Or, I mean, if they want to this year, I think you could see him quite a bit on that defense side. Now, New Orleans. They keep doing this to themselves. They extend older players to help their cap situation year in and year out. They do restructures. They kick the can. At some point, they have to just let it blow up and reset their cap situation. But GM Mickey Loomis is not going to do that. You bring in a new offensive-minded coach, who I am assuming, I don't remember the report there. I do think he's going to be calling the offensive side. He is going to be calling the offensive plays, but they need help on the defensive side. Rashid Shaheed's coming back. Chris Olave, I think he's on the trading block. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a draft day trade. This is a very good situation if you're an Aints fan, because realistically, you could go anywhere on the defensive side or offensive side. Kellen Moore could want a weapon. And, man, having a tall vertical threat for him, much like he had in A.J. Brown and CeeDee Lamb when he was in Dallas and Mike Williams when he was in L.A., if he's there, Corey McMillan, I think, could be the pick here. It just gives you a vertical threat. A lot of people say he has separation issues. Yes, he does at times in film, but he's a very much underrated player. Derek Carr is very good at giving the receivers a chance. Sometimes hospital balls, but McMillan has a very, very large catch radius, and I think he can improve that offense. Now the fun stuff. Ben Johnson. Even though he has an OC, I believe he's going to be calling the plays, and Genty not being there kind of is okay for them. If Genty's there, I think he's the pick. Looking to have creativity in his offense and be able to expand things. Bears invested in their quarterback, Caleb Williams. They've invested in the offensive line before and during free agency. They've addressed the wide receiver position. They've extended DJ Moore. They have Rome Odunze. You could go defense here, which I think is very much in play. But the talent is there. I think Ben Johnson is telling Ryan Poles all in the play, and that's Tyler Warren. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, they have Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet's a great tight end. He is a great tight end. You have Tyler Warren, who could essentially be a wildcat runner. He makes special things happen when the ball is in his hands. You could see Ben Johnson, which I think the NFL is kind of transitioning this way, into a heavy 12 personnel. Where he is on the field constantly with tight ends and two receivers. Running attack. Yeah, and plus this running back class is so deep, they could address the running back position in day 2, day 3, and I think they have a solid starter there to complement DeAndre Swift. The 49ers. What do? They're getting ready to pay Brock Purdy. They need offensive line help. Christian McCaffrey's coming back. George Kittle's getting older. He's seeking a contract. Brandon Ayuk's coming off injury. But then that defense, they lost a lot of pieces. And so it's like, what do they do here? I think they're going to invest in the defensive side of the ball here. Robert Salah is coming back. It's a tricky one because you still have some of the top defensive back players. I think they go with someone like Will Johnson. I don't know why Will Johnson is falling on boards. This guy's a top 10 talent. And for the 49ers, if he's there at 11, he's great. He plays great zone. He can play man. He's a ball hawk. You know, the injury set him back, but if he's injury free, you absolutely take him. You make up for the loss of Charvarius Ward. Now the Cowboys, they still need defensive help. You know, Jerry Jones notoriously does not like to spend money in free agency. He likes to build his team through the draft and then overspend on his stars, which puts them in the cap situation that they're in and year out. Obviously, they would want Gentry, they would want McMillan. So I think it comes down to two players. Do they want to go running back or do they want to go wide receiver here? You know, CeeDee Lamb needs help. You know, Jalen Tolbert is not going to be the guy. I think they go offensive here. They've got to address the running back position. They don't have a running back plan. You know, they lost Tony Pollard the year prior. Rico Dowdle is now a Panther. They go running back here. And we'll see another year where we have two running backs go in the top 15. And I think running back 2, Omarion Hampton, is a Dallas Cowboy. Miami Dolphins. Oh, are they going to protect Tua? That's always the question for me. I never understand why they can't invest in the offensive line at all. Like, at all. Why can't they do what they need to do to protect their franchise quarterback? At the same time, defensively, you know, Mike McDaniels knows that he can get the ball out quickly from Tua's hands to protect him at some point. You know, you still have Von Achane. You drafted Jalen Wright last year. I think Tyreek Hill may be another draft day trade. You could go wide receiver here because that will be a need. But, man, they don't have a safety that I feel comfortable with on the back end. So they take Malachi Starks, who I think is the best safety in this class. Yeah, Nick Amanwari is a great athlete. When it comes to actually playing football and game speed, Malachi Starks is that person. And he has versatility to go from safety down into the nickel corner position. They could go linebacker there as well, but I think Malachi Starks is the safe pick, and he elevates the defense for Anthony Weaver. Now, for the Indianapolis Colts, I want to talk about needing help. I mean, what are they going to do at quarterback, right? Is Anthony Richardson the long-term deal? They invested a top 10 pick in him. I believe it was top 5. I can't remember off the top of my head at this point. They lost Will Fries. They lost Ryan Kelly. You need to fortify the inside of your offensive line. So, take a tackle that moves down into guard. The defensive side did get better, and you have Lou Amanaro from the Cincinnati Bengals. They let him go. He elevates there. You invested in defense last year with Laiatu Latu in the first round. They did lose EJ Speed here. And actually, now that I'm thinking about this, you need a versatile linebacker. I know Zaire Franklin is pretty good, but he doesn't cover well. And I think Jahad Campbell, for him to be a top 10 talent there at 14, I think they take him there. Because, you know, Lou loves to run a lot of cover 2, especially Tampa 2. And he has the speed and versatility to get that depth that you need in coverage, and has the speed to also come up and make a tackle. Now, for the Atlanta Falcons at 15, could they stay at 15? Yes, they could. There's plenty of defensive talent, right? Everyone wants defensive talent when it comes to Falcons fans. I'm one of them. I think they should go defense here. But this is where I think a run on offensive linemen could go. And I think our first trade happens here with the Seattle Seahawks. Because this may be the first time that the Seattle Seahawks actually take a first-round offensive lineman. I can't remember the last time. What was it, Charles Cross that they did? I think they do it again. Give up their third-round pick to move up to 15. They have Sam Darnold, who, yes, can move around the pocket, but realistically, he wants to sit in the pocket and navigate the field. I think they go interior offensive lineman, and I think they take the best guard in this draft class. Give me Tyler Booker to the Seattle Seahawks. Immediately, day one starter, right there, left or right guard, it doesn't matter. He did take snaps at center, but I think you keep him at guard. Pairing him up with Charles Cross would be a lethal duo on that left side. The Arizona Cardinals at 16 need guard help. Now, Will Hernandez is still a free agent. He hasn't signed anywhere. Why? I don't know. But if Tyler Booker was there, I think that's the pick. Now with Seattle jumping them, taking a guard, they have flexibility. I think Jonathan Gannon really needs that true zero technique nose tackle to allow his linebackers to free flow, allow the pass rushers on the edge to move. They need defensive line help. They invested a little bit in the secondary last year. Budda Baker's there, Max Melton last year. I think this is where Kenneth Grant goes, and he becomes almost a day one starter, a 0-3 technique. That big boy can move. For the Cincinnati Bengals, this is where it gets tricky for them because you've invested so much on your offensive side, right? You cut Alex Kappa, you have Orlando Brown Jr., drafted Amarius Mims last year, so your tackles are pretty much set. But what's the interior look like? If you're getting interior pressure, you're not going to do a whole lot. And the Pittsburgh Steelers in your division have interior pressure. You have to protect your quarterback, especially after paying your wide receivers. They're dealing with the Trey Hendrickson contract situation. Sure, they could go edge here. They could go linebacker here. I think it's too early to take another linebacker. Honestly, I don't think another linebacker is taken in the first round. I think they go offensive line, and I think they're going to go with someone that potentially is going to kick in to guard. Honestly, that played tackle in college, but he's going to kick into guard. Give me Kelvin Banks Jr. here next to Orlando Brown Jr. Kick him into guard. Got the shorter arm. I think Kelvin Banks Jr. is the one that actually struggles with the shorter arms. I think he's more of a guard than he is a tackle in the NFL. And now the Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. There's a reason they chose to trade with Seattle at 18. They stay in front of their division rival, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have similar needs on the defensive side. They need to get younger at linebacker. They need edge help. They need DB help. So what do the Falcons do here? I think they go edge rusher. You have to invest in edge at this point. It could be Mykel Williams. It could be Donovan Izaruka, but I think it's Mike Green, someone they've been looking into very heavily, someone that had the production at college, someone that can be a primary pass rusher his first year as he rotates in with the vets and then works on his run defense and dropping into coverage, which Raheem Morris's defense loves to do. Jeff Ulbrich, now the defensive coordinator, and then Nate Ollie, the defensive line coach, can work on the run defense there. He worked with Will Anderson Jr. Will Anderson Jr. and Mike Green have very similar measurables. Will Anderson Jr. obviously is a much better prospect, but Mike Green can be up there if he is coached up. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you could go edge rush here. Donovan Izaruka is someone that I think is heavily linked to them, but 19 seems a little bit too luxurious to take him there. Jahdae Barron is there. Sure, they would love to take a DB. He can play outside. He can play inside. But I think there's going to be a little bit of a run on offensive players coming up. And I think this is where we have another trade as the Los Angeles Chargers are going to leapfrog their division rival in the Denver Broncos. Could go wide receiver here. They did re-sign Mike Williams. They had Ladd McConkey. I think they go wide receiver here. They get Matthew Golden, who I think is arguably one of the top receivers in this draft class. Chris Routes can just get down the field quickly. Reminds me a lot of Jamar Chase. I don't think he's quite there, but he reminds me how he moves around the field. Now for the Denver Broncos, they could have been targeting Golden. There's Luther Burden there, who I think could be a complementary to someone like Cortland Sutton. But they make an easy decision for Sean Payton. He loves his tight ends. He loves tight end leaks. He needs to improve there. Yes, they could go running back here. But again, with Amarion Hampton gone, Holston Loveland to the Denver Broncos, a huge piece in the passing game for Sean Payton's offense. Now you get to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who we still don't know who the quarterback is. They're still dealing with the Aaron Rodgers situation. Could they take another quarterback in the first round? And maybe he doesn't have a first-round grade. We saw what happened with Kenny Pickett. That didn't work. Mike Tomlin might be scarred from that, and I think he looks elsewhere in this draft if he's going to draft a quarterback. Najee Harris is gone. They need a running back. Again, any team that needs a running back that didn't get the top two, I think are going to wait day 2, day 3 to get someone that they can plug in. Offensive line, looks okay. Invested in the offensive line last year. You know, Troy Fautanu didn't get to play last year due to injury. They need defensive help. I think Cam Hayward, getting up in age, want to find his replacement. And I think that's what they do. They find their replacement. It's between these two. It's Walter Nolan versus Derek Harmon. And to me, it's more of a Walter Nolan. Someone that's disruptive, that maybe needs a little bit more coaching, and Cam Hayward could take him under his wing and help develop him with the coaching staff and eventually become the starter. Now the Buccaneers are back on the clock. Again, the two players I had linked to them, Jahdae Barron is still there. Donovan Ezaruka is still there. I think they need edge help. I think they go Donovan Ezaruka, another proven player in college, great at shedding blocks. You know, he has a huge wingspan, long arms, can keep blockers away from him, long arm them, and has versatility and dropping into coverage. Todd Bowles loves to do simulated pressures. I think he plug in plays in Tampa there. Now for the Packers, I know if you look, it says the need there is wide receiver, but they just notoriously don't go wide receiver ever in the first round, and I think they stick to their trend. They need edge help. They need edge help, period. And I think that's what they do. Someone that should have gone in the top 15. It's Mykel Williams, someone that's already a great run defender, playing on a bad ankle all college season. So a lot of people are like, oh, the production wasn't there. He was hurt most of the season. He was gritting it out. He needs to develop his pass rush game, which the kid's barely going to be 21. He has plenty of time to develop a pass rush skills. He has things that players can't develop, and that's his size, his speed, his get off, and his strength. So the Minnesota Vikings, I think they go defense here. You lost a couple defensive players to free agency. You invested in the defensive line. Free agency, you invested in your offensive line to protect J.J. McCarthy, who is now going to be your quarterback one. Re-signed Aaron Jones. You traded for Jordan Mason. I think this is a no-brainer, especially if he's there. Jahdae Barron to the Minnesota Vikings. He just gives you that versatility that Brian Flores wants. Oh, the Houston Texans. What are they doing offensively? That offensive line is being put together. Like CJ Stroud, hopefully this new offense that they're going to run, the ball is going to come out quickly because he needs all sorts of offensive line help. And I would love for them to go wide receiver here, but they just completely dismantled the entire offensive line. I think, honestly, because of the injury to his teammate and what he had to do, I think Donovan Jackson is the pick here because he can play guard, he can play tackle, he can start day one. Honestly, he could start day one. He gives you that versatility long term to protect CJ Stroud on the left side. The Los Angeles Rams, man, you can't say enough good things about their drafts. They always find hidden gems when it comes to any type of players. They're really good at finding late round talent. This is their second year in a row to actually have a first round pick, which is it's kind of shocking. I know it says they need a tight end, but PFF, Sean McVay's offense is not a focal point. Just like go of Cooper Kupp, who's signed with your division rival. Do they go wide receiver here? No, I don't. I don't think so because Puka Nacua is there. They signed Devontae Adams. I'm expecting Jordan Whittington to step up as a wide receiver 3 there. It says they need tackle. I think they wait another year on offensive tackle. I actually think they go defensive side, and I think they go with a corner that I don't know why has a second round grade. To me, he's a first rounder. That's Trey Amos. I think this is a phenomenal pick. Now, I know they signed Ahkello Witherspoon back, but Trey Amos gives you versatility, zone, man. He's got the tools that the Rams would be looking for. The Baltimore Ravens are a team that kind of can go wherever they want. They re-signed their left tackle, Ronnie Stanley. They need edge help bad. They need it bad. They don't really need secondary help. Maybe a linebacker, because linebacker has been a struggle. But again, I think 27 is a little rich for a linebacker at this point. I think someone that doesn't have a first round grade for some reason at the edge position is going to be there, and that's Nick Scourton. Great hands, great motor, lost the weight that A&M had him put on, the weight that he needs to be. I think he complements Kyle Van Noy. I think he complements the other edge guys. I think he just elevates, rotates in, and eventually becomes the starter. Now, the Detroit Lions, they truly need help is the edge position. They need someone opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, who's coming back from his broken leg. I think someone that can develop, someone that more so has the power and not the speed around the edge, with the bend like Aiden has. And that's Shamar Stewart, a pocket collapsing person that can develop. Sure, a lot of people are going to look at it and say, well, he didn't have the production in college. Touch Texas A&M's defense. All those guys didn't have production. Taking Stewart in front of the Commanders completely throws their plan out of the water, because I think that's someone that they would target. Shamar Stewart to the Detroit Lions. It gets a little tricky for the Commanders because, yes, they need running back help. Yes, they need offensive line help. They did trade for Laramie Tunsil. They definitely need edge and corner help. Which way do they go? Honestly, I think they go wide receiver, because I think Deebo Samuel is a one-year rental player, and they want to get someone like Deebo Samuel. Have Jaden Daniels in his rookie contract window. Have Terry McLaurin. I think you get another Ohio State guy. The fact that he falls to 29 is a steal. Mika Egbuka to the Commanders elevates the offense even more. Gives Cliff Kingsbury more toys to play with. Again, Deebo Samuel, I don't think extends with the Commanders. It's more so of a one-year rental there. If it weren't for them being division rivals, I think that's where the Giants come in. But I think this is where another trade happens. The Buffalo Bills have plenty of needs on the defensive side. They've extended their core pieces. Their offensive line is there. James Cook, he's looking for a contract extension. I don't think it gets there. They need a wide receiver. I think this is where they actually trade out of the first round with the New York Giants. I think they get a third round, they get the second round, and then maybe a seventh round for the New York Giants to come in. And the Giants draft the quarterback that they wanted, because he fell all the way to them, and that's Shedeur Sanders, pairing him back up with Travis Hunter. And now you get all sorts of quarterback controversy. New York Football Giants. We love controversy, don't we? Kansas City Chiefs, I think, lost quite a bit on the defensive side. I think they're really good at drafting those later round guys. Can't ignore the fact that they traded away Joe Thuney. Are they really going to put Kingsley Sumataya at guard and play Dan Moore Jr. on the left side? I think it was Dan Moore Jr. on the left side. The left tackle that they signed, I can't remember his name. I'm having a brain fart. But are they really going to trust Kingsley to play in that guard position? I think they are. The fact that he's still there, I think they take him. Derek Harmon Jr., you are a Kansas City Chief, and you will be helping Chris Jones on that interior very, very quickly. And the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl champs, what do they do here? Ty Becton's gone. Are they going to find someone else? They need edge help with Josh Sweat being gone. Sure, Jalex Hunt played very nicely towards the end of the season. But also, Brandon Graham retired. Nolan Smith becomes your starter. You go interior alignment because Jordan Davis is coming up on a contract year. Jalen Carter's there. Corner seems to be in need with Darius Slade being gone. No, I don't think they go in the first round there. You could actually see them trade out the first round, but I think they stick there. And I think they go with a guy that seems to have character issues that I think Vic Fangio can reel in. Everyone, Jalen Carter was also said to have character issues, but they took care of it there. And, the team rallies around him. They can bring the best out of him. And that's James Pierce Jr., who was supposed to be number 1 overall pick, or not so early draft once last year's draft ended. A lot of things can happen up until the coming moments. I think we will see quite a bit of trades. Let's take a look. I think we will see quite a bit of trades happen. We haven't seen any trades happen just yet, but a lot of players that don't, a lot of these draft experts don't having going to, in round 1. I think we will be shocked. Some players going in round 1. This one's been the most confusing, in my opinion, for draft analysts, because a lot of the big wig drafts they're so contradictory on these draft grades. Who has first round grades? Who doesn't? They say, picks 20 through 70 or 20 through 69, through round 3, that you could interchange a lot of players because the talent kind of is the same across the board, and you truly only have 10 players with true first round grades, not like last year where it was a loaded draft class. You're going to get a lot of players that are depth pieces, rotational pieces, and you could find some hidden gems, guys that didn't expect to be superstars that are exactly that. A lot of experts say that there are going to be 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. I don't think so. I think it's strictly 2 quarterbacks in the first round. It's Cam Ward, it's Shedeur Sanders. Where Shedeur Sanders goes, that's kind of up in the air. I've kind of shifted from the fact that he's going to go number 3. It's going to be later in the back half of the draft. And I think the Giants make that leap of faith in one last stint to save Brian Dable and Joe Shane's job. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button as well as subscribe. We are going to continue doing videos like this, breaking down more draft prospects and continuing to look forward for the draft. We're only weeks away. We're going to continue doing videos like this, update mock drafts as news rolls out, as more roster moves happen for teams. We will update the board and see how things happen. But until then, see you guys next time.